welcome to this special edition of our interview series. Today, we are honored to host a remarkable leader whose journey spans more than 4 decades in the automotive industry. He is an accomplished speaker, author, leadership coach, executive director with Maxwell Leadership. Beyond his professional achievement, he has inspired countless individuals through his personal testimony of overcoming adversity and addiction, his passion for leadership and development, and his commitment to mission work around the world. Please join us in welcoming Mr. Bart Norenbeek. You are welcome.
Shepherd, thanks, buddy.
Yes, it's good to see you coming back to Zambia.
Thank you. I love being here.
Yes, welcome again back to Light TV Zambia.
Thank you.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes, sure.
This morning got to hang out with the kids. That was so powerful.
Oh, wonderful,
so
wonderful. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, they're amazing.
You had a good time?
Yeah.
Okay, that's so
Hope
good
they
to
did.
hear.
That's the most important thing.
Okay, okay, that's so nice to hear. Mr. Norenbeek, thank you for joining us again today. To begin, could you tell our viewers a little about yourself, especially those who are actually watching you for the very first time? Who is Bart Norenbeek beyond the title and the professional accomplishment?
Wow, that's so great. Thank you for asking me that question. I think that, who I is not who I was.
Okay.
But who I was totally different. So this transformation of what's happened to me in the last number of years, really because of my walk with Christ, it frankly blows me away. So I'm going to talk about where I am today.
Okay, yes.
Today, I have an opportunity to teach not just car dealerships, but businesses, culture, leadership, communication, structure, how managers become great leaders, how managers become great leaders, not just at the workplace, but also at home.
Okay.
So I'm really about making an impact in people's lives and helping them reach their full potential. That's really what it's about.
Wonderful.
What's cool about that too is not only do I have the ministry that makes me money, which is the leadership coaching, but we also have the ministry that just influences people at such a big level, and that's our Celebrate Recovery program, which is a worldwide program that we put into our church. So we've got over 200 people, almost, not quite, 200 people that come every week. We feed over 200 every week.
Wow.
And that has really taught me how to be a leader, how to be a follower, how to be a man. Recovery's been a huge part of my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Many of our viewers may remember your appearance on Breaking Free, which we did, where you openly shared your journey through addiction and how it affected your personal life and also marriage. For those who may not have seen that program that we did, could you briefly share your story and some of the lessons you learned during that challenging season of your life?
Yeah. How much time do we have? Yeah, I'll do that. A number of years ago, again, born in Midwest in the United States, I had an opportunity to come to my knees.
Okay.
And it all started when I was about 13 years old, and I took a sip of alcohol, which turned into a glass of alcohol from my dad's liquor cabinet. That started a string of events that resulted in 5 cars wrecked in high school, and just totally addicted to alcohol at a young age.
Wow.
That started the path of other drugs, and it really got me on cocaine, which I was out of control with. As a matter of fact, at one point, today I weigh about 210 or so, but at one point I weighed 150 pounds. I had used every drug that was available except for heroin because I didn't like needles, and I was drinking every day. So I was functioning, but my life was unmanageable. And I'd function at work, and then at night I would party pretty much all night, and it was just a mess. At a younger age, at 28 years old, I walked into a rehab center after getting fired from my job, and I stayed in that rehab center for 30 days. And after 30 days, graduated from that rehab center And that was actually 41 years ago, June 15th. And I haven't drank or used since. So that rehab center that I walked into changed my life dramatically.
Wow.
And I became clean and sober.
Okay.
Now, over the years, I had other addictions that I had to work through, other life hurts I had to work through. I had a temper, I had codependency that I was working through, I had some sexual integrity issues. But today I can really say I've got freedom from all of that. Still working on things, as we all do, but freedom from all of that by the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Unbelievable how he has walked me in this journey and brought me here, frankly. I mean, why would I be here? I'm a former used car salesman that's now talking about recovery all over the world. Yes. It's an incredible journey.
Okay, wonderful. Looking at your personal life, where you are coming from, did you ever thought of becoming a leader, like at one point?
Well, when I was really young, absolutely not.
Okay.
I mean, I was leading organizations, but it wasn't as a leader. I was a manager that wasn't a leader.
Okay. Yes.
I was John Maxwell talks about what's called the 5 levels of leadership.
Yes.
The first level is position. He also has a book called The 5 Levels of Leadership. And if you don't know who John Maxwell is, he's the number 1 leadership author in the world.
Okay.
And he's written over 120 books. And again, I'm an executive director with the Maxwell Leadership program.
Okay.
So, which is actually a group of entrepreneurs that take Maxwell leadership principles to their businesses. And when I first looked at Maxwell, the 5 levels was the thing that really got my attention. So level 1 is position. I'm the boss. That's just the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yes. Well, speaking of, you were a manager, not a leader. So I would really love to understand what's the difference between being a manager and being a leader. What's different is there? What separates them?
Well, let's look at those 5 levels. Let's take a look at those. That might make it a little bit easier. Again, the first level is position. When most of us get that job, that's a manager. It says it on our business card, so we must be a leader, right? No. Most brand new managers don't know how to be a leader.
Yes.
Managers manage tasks. Leaders lead men and women.
Okay.
And so the second level of the 5 levels of leadership is permission, where we build relationships with our people.
Okay.
So the first one is the entry level, ground zero, if you will, position, then permission. Okay. The third level is production, though.
Okay.
As a manager, that's what keeps you in the job if you're producing. Wow. So maybe you build relationships with people and you're producing. Now you're a pretty good manager. But the fourth level is where all the difference is made. That's called people development.
Okay.
And that's when a leader learns to develop people, to train people, to coach people. And then the fifth level is what's called pinnacle. Pinnacle is what most of us won't get to, but that's that elite leader, like a John Maxwell, who trains leaders to become leaders to become leaders. In my coaching that I do in business, or my coaching that we do in Celebrate Recovery, our goal is to get people to level 4, which is that people development leader, where we're developing our people. If we're parents, we want to develop our kids to be great people, right? And that's what a level 4 leader does. He or she develops people to be great leaders that eventually become leaders themselves.
Wow. Okay, Mr. Norenberg, I would love to know how do you define leadership? How can you define leadership in simplest terms, especially for the people who are watching?
And I'm going to answer that the same way John Maxwell would. Leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. And I heard a friend of mine recently that I interviewed. I have a podcast that I broadcast in the U.S. called Keep the Change. And I interviewed this gentleman, and we were talking about impact and influence. Great leaders have impact and influence. Hopefully good influence, but they impact people's lives. If you asked me in an elevator, what am I about? What's my company about? What's our ministry about? My job is to help people reach their maximum capacity.
Wow.
That's it. I want to help people reach their maximum capacity. If I can help them do that, now I know I've had impact and I know I added influence. So to me, that's really what leadership was all about.
Okay. Wonderful. Yes. So as a man of faith, do you believe leadership is aligned with biblical principles?
It's funny that John Maxwell actually wrote a number of books, and in his books, he always uses the Bible as his reference.
Okay.
He was talking about, at one point, speaking in Dubai to a group of leaders there. And when he was done speaking, they came up to him and said, "That was great. Where'd you get your information?" And he said, "I can't tell you." And he said, No. We really want to know. Where do you get your information?" Okay. Now, please understand, I know we have assorted audiences, but John, of course, is a believer and loves Jesus, a former pastor. Yes. And like myself, like you, the Bible guides our life, right? Yes. And in that discussion with these people, most of them were Muslim. So when he said, "Hey, I just want to tell you that you don't want to know where I got my information." And they said, "Oh, we really want to know." And he said, "Okay, it's the Bible." And I said, "Oh." The answer in all of it is in the Bible. It is. All the greatest leadership lessons in the world, whether it's from David, whether it's from Paul, whether it's from our King Jesus himself, all of the best leadership lessons come from the Bible. Absolutely.
Wonderful. So how can these biblical values help actually to shape character, integrity, and the standard by which we lead our lives, and also the influencing others?
So how can our biblical principles help influence others? Is that the question?
The question is, how can biblical actually values help us to actually to shape our character, especially those people who have got higher position, and also to have integrity and the standard? Yes.
I think the main thing is that what you and I want out of our leaders is people we can trust.
Okay, yes.
What you and I want out of our leaders is people that have hopefully like values. What you and I want out of our leaders is somebody that will push us to be the best we can be. What you and I want out of our leaders is somebody that we can mentor and model. What you and I want out of our leaders is somebody that we want to be like. And I think that all of that comes true, frankly, with the people of the Bible, with men and women of the Bible. So I believe that hopefully I'm answering your question correctly, yes. That if you and I believe what the Bible says, and I do, I know you do, Pastor. So knowing that if we follow the principles in the Bible, we will add value, we'll lift others up, we will add truth, we'll be able to let them know how to live life, even though it's hard out there, by the principles of the Bible. And great leaders get that. The best leaders that I've ever seen follow the principles of the Bible. Character, values, perseverance, patience.
Okay, maybe to take you back about leadership, how can someone, you mentioned about 5 levels of leadership, which you mentioned position, and the highest is pinnacle. Yes, I would love to know, how can someone develop the leadership in them? Like to move from being a position, just being a boss because it's a title you are being given, or you are being appointed to actually hand over a certain department. Yes. How can you develop that leadership in you so that you can move to this highest level of leadership?
Well, that's such a good question. And I believe that happens by being a student and wanting to learn, finding a mentor, reading, listening to books, going to school on leadership. Nowadays, you can go on YouTube and learn anything you want about leadership, right? So I think the main thing of that, I mean, John Maxwell wrote 120 books. You want to learn leadership? Read a John Maxwell book. Some of his favorites, in my opinion, are 5 Levels of Leadership, Develop the Leader Within You 2.0, which I think is a great book. The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, great book. Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, great book, because so many of us don't know how to communicate. So those are just a few that I just loved the books. I brought 2 or 3 of them with me on this flight here, because I had a 15-hour flight from New Jersey to here. And I'm believing that you want to learn leadership, study that. Study John Maxwell. Study Simon Sinek. Study some of the best leaders in the world. You'll learn it quick. Look, you and I have a lot of time on our hands. And the question is, what do we do at that time? You and I know that we can get anything we want on YouTube. And what I would do, instead of wasting time watching some television show that doesn't make any sense, that is just stealing, sucking our energy,
Yes.
or spending time on our phones
Mm.
where it sucks our energy, then go to YouTube and watch something and learn something and watch a course and make that commitment every day. You do that every day, you'll get a college degree in leadership in 12 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Wonderful. That's well explained. I'm usually inspired by, especially one of the book that you actually wrote, Keep the Change. Yes. Yeah. But looking at a leader, like you mentioned, you were once a lead. You were just a manager, or maybe you are just occupying a position. How did you come to realize that you are just a manager? Like now you wanted to move into being a leader, like you can have influence. Maybe you can share your personal experience on that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I don't think I did at first,
Mhm.
Shepard. I think
Yes.
what happened was I was in the job and I wasn't very good.
Okay.
And what happens when you're not very good?
Okay.
You get fired.
Yes, we get
So I
fired.
got fired.
Yeah. Oh.
Then I got another
Okay.
job and I
Oh,
wasn't very
wow.
good. And guess what happened?
Okay. Yes.
I got fired. And
Okay.
so after a couple times, I thought, I like it, I think. But I was that kind of leader, frankly, when I was early on, or I was a manager early on, who had a temper and really believed that me telling you what to do would prove my worth or prove my leadership skills. And what I learned was that's not leadership.
Okay. Yes.
Caring about you, loving on you, serving you, holding you accountable. That was how I could best help you. If I was yelling at you because you didn't do something right, that was just terrible leadership.
Okay.
And I did it wrong enough that I realized, man, I got to do something about it. I actually worked for a guy.
Yes.
I was a manager of a big dealership, and I worked for a guy named Smitty. And Smitty loved John Maxwell content. So I started studying John Maxwell content. And I listened every day to it on my commute in my job. And then after a while, I left that company and I was on my own and I was interviewing one of my clients about his leadership skills. And I talked to him, and as I was interviewing him, I thought, man, you've got a lot of good talent. You've got a lot of good information. And he said, yeah, John Maxwell's been one of my big influencers. And I said, me too. He told me he was going to meet with John for the weekend, and I asked him if I could go. And he said no. But he did say, John Maxwell had a certification team. And if you called them, then I could join the team. So the next day I called the John Maxwell offices. I joined the team. I became an executive director. I joined what's called their DISC program, which is personality trait program. I joined their mentorship program. So I bought every product they had on that phone call. And that started my path to really getting immersed with how to be a great leader.
Wow. Okay. Wonderful. One of the greatest obstacle that most leaders, people even face is when they're actually pursuing their goals and dreams is fear. Yes. Yes, in your experience, how can fear distort a person's vision, especially who is a leader in a position?
Well, the problem is there's a blind spot.
Okay. Yes.
And I don't think that most people that are in fear don't realize they're in fear.
Okay. Yes.
They have a blind spot going on. And when they can be aware of the blind spot and they think, oh, I'm in fear, then they're going to get real. Then they're going to get transparent. My book was based on Bill W.'s foundation in Alcoholics Anonymous. And let me explain that a little bit.
Yes.
There's 12 steps to recovery in Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous, I believe, was founded like 1930 or something like that in Canton, Ohio, by Dr. Bill and Bob, the two founders. And these 12 steps are what I put into my 12 chapters of my book. And I talked about each of these steps because they're great leadership lessons.
Wow.
So when I look back at my career, when I was not very good and I got fired a couple times as a bad leader, I had to do something. And that something was admit it. I had to get out of denial. Denial is not a river in Egypt. Denial is not having awareness. Denial is thinking I'm better than I am. And when I got out of denial, what happened was I admitted that, hey, I'm not as good at this as I could be. I had a lot of skills, but leadership wasn't one of them. And I needed to admit that. Once I admitted that I wasn't very good, then I was going to do everything I could. I picked up the mat and started studying how to be a great leader.
Wow.
And I learned how to be a great leader quickly because of Smitty and because I put my heart and soul into becoming a great leader. The difference was, as a young leader or a young manager, it was always about me, Shepard.
Okay.
As I got more mature as a leader, it was about we. How could I serve more and take less? And that's where some leaders really don't get it. It's not glamorous. It's not glorious. It's not sexy. It is work. And it's selfless. And the more selfless we are, the more we can think about others, the more we can serve them in our leadership role. I believe that's what makes us a better leader and makes the organization better, because we are people of value, adding value to people of value. When you and I do that, that's when change happens, impact happens.
Okay, I would love you to speak into there are leaders who actually don't admit mistakes when they feel as if maybe admitting their mistake, maybe showing their weakness. What do you say about that?
Well, I told you earlier that my wife and I don't know if I mentioned my wife, but we have founded this ministry, again, called Celebrate Recovery, which is based on the 12 steps I talked about, but it's also a Christian-based recovery program. And in that program, what we know is we have people coming to the meetings. They're broken. They could be alcoholics. They could be sex addicts. They could be gambling addicts. They could have been abused. Maybe they're insecure. Maybe they have codependency. Anybody with a life hurt shows up at Celebrate Recovery. They're not just addicts. But why do they show up? Because, again, it goes back to step one. They admitted that something was stopping them from being the best human they could be. And they admitted their mistakes. They didn't even know all of them, but they admit their life wasn't working. If we look at those first 3 steps, as Bill and Bob wrote them out, step one, we admitted we were powerless over, in my case, it was alcohol and drugs, and my life had become unmanageable. So just by saying that, Shepard, I was being vulnerable, right? Step 2 is came to believe that a power than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And just again, made mistakes, admitted it, and came to believe that there was hope and peace at the other side of it. And you and I get that peace as Jesus Christ. Step 3, made the decision to turn our will and our life over to care of God. So let's think about that. What if somebody's not in recovery? Do they need to admit? Yeah. They need to admit they don't have it all figured out. They need to admit they're human. They need to admit that they can be vulnerable. Look, leaders that don't want to be vulnerable are dishonest. Leaders that are vulnerable, other people respect it. Because people don't want to know how much you know, leaders. They want to know how much you care.
How much you feel.
People don't want to know that you're always right and you're higher up than they are. They want to know you're real. And in that realness comes a vulnerability. You want to influence somebody, tell them about your brokenness authentically. You don't have to always do it. You don't have to open up every door, but let them know that you're vulnerable too. And that's where that relationship changes. So it starts with admitting that we're fearful sometimes, admitting we make mistakes. And in those mistakes, some of our greatest victories have come on the other side of that.
Wow. Wonderful, wonderful. Drawing back from your own recovery actually journey, how important is a support system for someone struggling with addiction or other life challenges? Yes. How is it important to have the power of a support system?
Oh my gosh. You know what? The opposite of addiction is connection.
Okay.
And what happens with so many of us is, especially in today's world, we have all these opportunities to connect with each other,
yes,
and we don't use them, right? But the most important connection is what you and I are doing right now.
yes.
I have a podcast, and I love my podcast because I get to look in the eye of the person that I'm interviewing.
Okay.
To me, that's connection. And what's so great about that connection, too, is it's usually about a half hour. And in that half hour, we get to become pretty good friends. We get to learn about each other, right? So I really believe in connection. And I believe we're only as sick as our secrets. So I need to have that support system, that brothers, in my case, because I'm a man, I want brothers. I don't share my information with females. Okay. That's not what I do. I share it with males that are on the same path.
Yes.
And I'm vulnerable with them and they're vulnerable with me. And we lift each other up. And part of the support system is accountability partners. We hold each other accountable. But also part of that support system is a sponsor. The sponsor is like a mentor who's been there before and who knows what not to do and what to do to stay out of the pit and to stay in the peace. So for me, support system is capital S. You have to have it. You have to have connection. You've got to have people that are like-minded that you are sharing with, and you've got to be able to trust it. You've got to be able to trust them because you're being very vulnerable with folks like that if you're in a recovery program. That's the secret to it. Communication and connection.
Wonderful, yes. So what role do, like you mentioned of family, you mentioned of your brothers, and you mentioned sharing with brothers, apart from ladies, yes, your sisters, yes. So what role do family and friends actually, and mentors and faith community play, especially in the healing and restoration process for someone who is going through addictions?
Wow, man, that's, again, great question. I think that sometimes our families have let us down. And some of us, the reason we went to recovery is because our families were dysfunctional. So I'm believing that, I had a broken family and I had, my parents didn't divorce, but they struggled. And as I became a young adult, what I realized was I didn't want to parent the way my dad parented. I wanted to be exactly the opposite of my father as a parent. So my father was my role model in not the best ways. The reason I started drinking at 13 is because I never really felt valued by my father. And I felt that if I drank, he might notice me. I wanted my dad's attention. Years later, I got in the automobile business. My dad was a car dealer. And I would tell you that I didn't like the business, but I loved the people in the business. But even though I kept doing the business, it's because I was chasing my dad's approval. And my dad had died years earlier. So I was chasing the approval of a dead man. What's the point? The point is that sometimes our parents might motivate us to get sober or get clean because of what they did wrong. Sometimes, usually, if somebody's going to go into into some kind of a addiction program, or if they're suffering from any kind of addiction, they probably had some dysfunction in the family. So family scares them. It is a scary thing. And I would tell you what's great about recovery, no matter what your family was like at home, you've got a group of brothers and sisters that can be your family as you walk through this journey because they've been there. They've done that. They know what not to do and they know what to do. My mama is my hero. And yet I will tell you, as a young person, I resented my mom. As I got older, we became very close, and she was a great business model for me. And my mom was so supportive of my recovery journey. She was my greatest fan. So healing happens. My dad, unfortunately, died when I was about 20 years old. And I never really got to have a deep relationship with him. But I will tell you, the healing with my mom happened over the years. And I'm so grateful for that. Even though she's passed away a number of years ago, I find myself reaching out and thinking about her and talking to her every day. And I'll also tell you this too. My mom was not a believer in Jesus Christ. My grandparents were. I believe that the reason I'm here right now is because my grandparents prayed me here. I believe it with all my heart. A week before my mom died, I introduced her to Jesus. I had tried to tell her about Jesus many times before, but she continued to say, "Oh, Bart, that's nice. That's for you. I'm not interested." A week before she died, we were having lunch, and I said, "Mama, can I talk to you about Jesus?" And she said, "Yes." And I would tell you, again, probably the greatest victory in my life. I have 4 kids. Of my 4 kids, I've had the opportunity to marry 2 of them through officiating their weddings by the gift of God. So it's a wretch like me, a drug addict like me, a bad manager like me. Today, I lead leaders all over the world. I've got, between my wife and I, we have 10 kids and 15 grandkids. Wow. I get to lead one of the biggest ministries in the city I live in Arizona. And it's just amazing what God can do if we're obedient, if we walk toward Him, if we listen to Him, and if we get on our knees to Him and give it all to Him, and we're available.
Wow, 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 wow. Speaking about the missions and the works that you are doing, the mission work has taken you to many parts of the world, and including Zambia, where you are right now, which you have often described as a place that feels like a second home. Yes. What motivates your commitment to mission work, and what impact have these experience had on both the community yourself and your personal growth?
Well, I think the thing that attracted me, I came here a year ago, and the thing that attracted me was Pastor Malinga more than anything else. I had seen Pastor Malinga at his sister church in Phoenix, Arizona area, and his message was so powerful. So I had him on my podcast and got to interview him, and got to, again, like you and I, we're having a connection here. I got to interview him for 50 minutes. And in that 50 minutes, really got to know him. When a mission team that was coming here a year ago, they asked me to speak about recovery to some folks. So I was doing a breakout session on recovery. I got to do that, and I brought a bunch of my books. On Sunday, I'm in the back of the room here, and Pastor Malinga said, "Bart, come on up." And I got to go up there and tell my story for a half hour. So it just touched my heart. From there, I got to go to the slum and see what the kids were going through and literally feed these kids. From there, Pastor Malinga and I would talk about putting a recovery program in this church. You have started to do the recovery program in this church, and I'm excited to share my experience, my strength, my hope in what we've done in Arizona to help you guys set it up here. Wow. And I'm just super excited. And I will tell you, our church knows where I am and what I'm doing, and they've supported this journey because they also are excited for you to set up a recovery program in your church. And you've already started doing it, and I'm excited to help you take it to the next level. So for me, that's what drives me. For me, if somebody asked me in 21 when I wrote my book what was next for me, I would have said travel around the world and talk recovery. Wow. And I never thought that that's what my life would be about, but that's where God's got me.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. You have actually been doing this work for a very long time. Yes, and I've seen you are really disciplined, and you are really actually you are really disciplined, and you are you are a disciplined leader in everything that you are doing. So, for how can a leader actually develop that discipline in themselves? How, because many people, they fail to actually have discipline in what they are doing. You find that today they will start something, then tomorrow they will actually stop it. You find that we have got so many leaders who are not focused even on a certain project. They have got too many visions or too many goals that they want to achieve at the same time. So how can what's your advice to those people who are actually not focused, who wants to make actually to be disciplined in what they are doing?
Wow, that's such a great question. And I think it all goes down to habits. Okay. Right? I mean, why are we undisciplined? Well, it's probably bad habits. Whether it's looking at our phone, whether it's procrastination, which can be a habit, whether it's doing anything besides the discipline. Okay. But I think there's a secret. And I think the secret is in prayer to get on your knees in front of God and ask God what God wants us to do, yes, but also tell God what we want to do and what our cause is. I write down my goals, but I bring all my goals to God, because what I know is I've had lots of goals over the years, and I haven't hit everything I wrote down, but I have hit every goal that God puts in front of me. So if I stay in alignment with Him, I'd much rather have the King of the universe have my back than try to do it all on my own. But let's go back, because I want to answer that question. Once you and I have a cause, it's our own cause, but it's our cause with God. Once you and I have a cause, something that we'll go to war over, something we believe in, then it's important to ask ourselves the because. And what I mean by that is why. For example, I want to build businesses. Why? And because I want to invest with my kids. Why? Because I want them as business partners. Why? Because I want to help them have their own businesses they can share with their kids and leave a legacy. See, my why is different than your why, but I have to know my cause. My cause also is to spread the gospel and spread recovery. Why? Because of what God's done for me. Why? Because He turned my life around. Why? Because other people need to hear my story. I know it. Because I have a cause and I know the because, I'll never give up on the cause. I believe that the reason people stop doing things is their cause doesn't really have a because. They don't have a big why. If you don't have the big why, you're not going to stand in there when it gets tough. You're going to have a flavor of the week. If we know what our cause is and we know what our because is, now every day we do 2 or 3 things a day that get us closer to our cause. That's when super success happens. So whatever it is, you need to every day ask yourself, how do I get closer to what I want? And pick 2 or 3 things that help you get closer to what you want. When you do that, you're developing a new habit. When you develop a new habit, you now start developing a culture. When you do develop a new culture, now you start developing a legacy. And people start following you because they understand what it'll do for them.
Wow, wonderful. That's so inspiring. Yes. Wonderful. As we are coming to the conclusion, yes, as you are a leader who actually has been going around to train people who can become leaders, yes, I would love to know what do you hope to see in the people that you are actually mentoring?
That they hit their potential, that they're following Jesus, walking with Jesus, loving Jesus. My journey, none of it happens without daily time with God. That I get up every morning, I spend an hour and a half at least with God. It's either reading scripture, it's quiet, listening to Him, it's maybe a devotional. I'm spending this quality time with God. But that doesn't mean when those 2 hours are done that we stop talking to God. I'm talking to God all the time. All the time. All the time. And that's where some people I don't think get it. So I'm on the prayer team at church. And people come up and their life's a mess. And the first thing I'll ask them is, how's your prayer life? And what do you think they say? Not too good. If their life's a mess, their prayer life's probably not very good. So that's where it starts, the prayer life. And then when that prayer time's over, I'm still in that all day long and tapping into Him. So I believe if you and I get God involved in our decisions about our cause and our because and our direction, and we're talking to Him all day long, He's guiding us all day long, I think we're destined for incredible victory and to hit our potential. Everybody's built for so much more than we even give ourselves credit for. And I believe if we tap into Him, we will have an extraordinary life, but we have to tap into Him. It's not that we're going to always have riches. Riches could be in our fitness. It could be in our families. It could be in our finances. But it's not just that. It could be in our health. That could be the riches. I know a lot of people that don't have a lot of cash, but have great health and great families, and they are so rich. So That's where I believe that relationship with God can have so much impact on every area of our life. By hanging out with Him, by listening to Him, and by being obedient to what He says He wants us to do. That's when everything changes.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. What message of encouragement would you like to leave with our viewers, particularly those who may be facing setback, struggling with addiction, battling with fear, and also seeking to become better leaders?
Well, it's such great questions. Where do you get you're just so good at asking great questions. Here's what I think. I believe it all boils down to admit it, believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, make a decision, and make sure that your thoughts are in place. What do I mean by that? Be careful what you think about. We are what we think about. Romans 12:2. Don't be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be renewed, but transformed. I say this every day and I always stumble. Don't be conformed by the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be aware of your thoughts. If you're beating yourself up all the time, man, life's hard. Man, I'm stupid. Man, I can't believe that I'm struggling with this. When that happens, then what happens is now we're in negative mode. And it's so important for you and I to really be aware of our thinking. We are what we think about. That's how you transform. You start the transformation. Start with Him, be aware of your thinking, and really start doing affirmations every day that talk about how much you're loved by God and covered in His blood.
Wonderful, wonderful. Bart, thank you for sharing your insight, experience, and also wisdom with us today. Your story is powerful, is a powerful reminder that leadership begin with the transformation is possible, and faith and purpose and also perseverance can lead us toward a more impactful life. Thank you so much for sharing, for those insightful things that you actually share to our viewers. We believe our viewers, they are really blessed and their life will never be the same. Your story is really encouraging and it's so touching knowing where you are coming from. Yes.
Shepherd, I love this church. I love the people here, and I'm just so honored to serve. Thank you so much for allowing me to serve.
Oh, sure. You're welcome. To all our viewers, you heard it for yourself what Mr. Bart Nolenberg has actually shared. I believe you are transformed. Thank you for joining us for this inspiring conversation. Until next time, continue to lead with purpose, live with integrity, and pursue your God-given calling. God bless you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.